Talladega Junior Nation came to life.
22 one-thousandths of a second. Excuse me, 32 one-thousandths of a second. Separate Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon. And two of Rick Hendrick's cars right now are on the front row.
And I think his two biggest bullets will be, there's his crew chief, Steve Letarte. That whole team was with Jeff Gordon last year. And now they're with Dale Earnhardt Jr. But I think the two biggest bullets will be the other Richard Childress car, Jeff Burton, coming up here shortly, and then his teammate, Jimmy Johnson.
Dick Berggren.
With 19-year-old Trevor Bayne now third quick so far this afternoon. What did you do behind the wheel to help your run?
I prayed a lot before I got in the car, first of all. And, you know, really as a driver, you just got to make sure that you don't scrub any speed. You got to hold the wheel as steady as you possibly can. A lot of teams run a manual box here, so that actually helps you stay steady, even though it's a lot of different wheel input. And then just make sure you can get as high as possible that first lap and as low as possible the second lap. You know, I think we had an awesome run there. I mean, I cannot thank this whole team enough. To be third right now is great because we're sitting behind Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon. So we'll take that and we'll go to these twins. And I think hopefully these guys will see that we've got a good race car driver, and hopefully they'll know I can do it and they'll want to work with us and we can get us a good starting spot in the 500.
Great job. Matt?
Thanks, sir.
Kurt Busch started the night as a Lone Ranger and ended the night with a big check of $200,000 for taking home the Budweiser Shootout win. So has McMurray invoiced you yet for his participation?
I'm sure he will. It's just an unbelievable experience to be in that two-car draft, and you got to have that buddy with you. And he stuck with us. My plan was to try to get to the 39 and the 11 sooner to give us a better shot at things, and ultimately it worked out in my favor. But all along I wanted to get McMurray up there and have us duke it out for the win, and for him to get second, it all worked out. I'm just excited. I mean, it's just a great way to start off a great relationship with Shell and Pennzoil, of course being the only Dodge out there. But great partners like AAA with Coca-Cola and all these guys helping us out just to start off on this high. It's good. So we hope to keep it going all here through Speed Weeks.
And Mikey said going from turn 4 to start finish, he gained about $150,000 from third to first.
I'd say so. Wow. Jeff Burton is on track right now, and he should be one of the contenders. The pole winner for the 500 in 2006, but Burton right now is tracking 10th fastest as he comes off the corner, picking it up to 9th.
Just keeps gaining a little bit and a little bit as he came off down that back straightaway.
You know, real quickly, following up on Trevor Bayne talking about having manual steering on this car. Power steering pump probably doesn't pull over 2 or 3 horsepower at the most. But that's how critical 2 or 3 horsepower are. You'll unhook that power steering and go to an old manual steering box like an old pickup truck or something I have on it. Got to crank on a little bit more, but takes a little bit of horsepower.
Jeff Burton continued to gain speed all the way to the finish line and is 6th at the moment at a 48.63. That's 185.0 miles per hour. Dick?
With Dale Earnhardt Jr., how'd that car feel on that run?
Pretty easy. 185 ain't too hard at this place, especially with the new asphalt. But I want to thank Hendrick Engines and the guys in the fabrication department, all the guys in the 4888 shop.
But how about the driver? Can this driver win the Daytona 500 next Sunday?
About 30 of us can. Hopefully I make all the right moves, man. We got a long week, but I'm real proud of the speed we had today. I want to thank everybody that worked on the car. It was all race car today.
Good start. Steve?
Dick, David Reagan's been visiting with the fans. Your dad raced here in the Daytona 500. Kevin Harvick says this is our biggest race times 10. Can you tell the fans, the viewers, what it's like to get ready for the Daytona 500?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a big event, and it's not only the the kickoff of our 2011 season. It kind of is a tone setter for the rest of the year. But the Daytona 500. You think about the birthplace of NASCAR and racing just down the road on the beach, and then over here, and so many legends that have won the race and not only won but participated, and obviously the new track surface. There's a lot of neat things happening here. I went up top yesterday for the ARCA race, and just looking down on the speedway kind of gives you chill bumps. You're like, man, this place is awesome. So it's a Daytona 500. Our UPS car is pretty fast, and looking forward to being back down here next week.
Well, Krista, David Reagan making a lot of new fans, talking to some of the kids down here hanging by the fence.
Well, kids love Carl Edwards because he's all about traditions. First it was the backflip, now it's running into the stands. What kind of things do you have planned for the 2011 season?
Probably a lot of what we just talked about, changing diapers and things like that.
That is what we were talking about.
Seems to be taking over my life. But, you know, hopefully I've got a lot of victories to celebrate, and hopefully we can do backflips and go up in the stands. I had so much fun doing that at the end of the year. Our Aflac team is geared up, hopefully, to make a run at this championship. We had fun at the end of the season. I'm ready to get going racing.
All right. Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Krista. David Rudiman on track for Michael Waltrip Racing. Rudiman was one of last year's most successful restrictor plate races. In the 4 events at Daytona and its sister track Talladega, Rudiman had the 3rd best average finish behind 2 of Richard Childress's drivers.
Which tells me David Rudiman did probably the best job of a lot of drivers staying out of trouble at those 4 races.
First lap for Rudiman, 49.50. That's about 15th quickest first lap.
You know, he's a car owner. Yeah, he's the car owner for his dad, Buzzy.
Hall of Fame dirt track driver.
Been having a rough go of it. And talking to David, said they'd blown an engine, flipped a car. But Buzzy keeps crawling out and say, well, you got a good backup.
You saw David is from Zephyr Hills, Florida, down in the southern part of the state, and he was a dirt track racer. And David said earlier in the week, said, it wasn't that many years ago, I was sitting in the stands here as a fan, and all I thought about was just trying to get in the garage area to see some drivers. Never dreamed about racing in the Daytona 500.
Rudiman had 9 top 10s last year and clocks in 17th, 48.90. He is the fastest Toyota with a lap of 184.0 miles per hour. Jeff Burton climbing out after his run. Oh, gives the parade float wave.
Looked like a political wave. He's going to have to make a choice, senator or mayor.
Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch talk it over. You know, speaking of that, NASCAR's losing one of its biggest supporters in the United States Senate. Want to say hi to John Kyle from Arizona. I'm pretty sure he's watching because he is an avid NASCAR fan, probably the biggest one on Capitol Hill. Our coverage of Daytona Speed Weeks continues next weekend. 2 sessions of Sprint Cup Series practice on speed, followed by the Camping World Truck Series. Then next Saturday, it's the final session of Sprint Cup practice on speed. And next Sunday begins with NASCAR Race Day on speed. And then the 53rd running of the Daytona 500 on Fox, followed by NASCAR Victory Lane on speed to wrap it all up. Our coverage of Daytona Speed Weeks leading up to the Daytona 500 continues next weekend on Speed and on Fox.
I couldn't help but halfway listen to Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson here, still talking about the Budweiser shootout last night.
Committed to leaving a lane down there for him.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
If it was me, I'd have gone down there.
Been trying to dodge the side.
I'd have held it right on that double yellow. And I said, whoever's coming's coming. It worked out. He was nice.
Get away from the side track.
I think what they're talking about is, after looking at that replay a couple of times, I'm not sure that Denny Hamlin even had to go below the yellow line.
Well,
and I think that's what I heard Kurt say. If he'd have just stayed on the yellow line, held his position right here, if he'd have just held right there, he wouldn't even have to go below the yellow line.
I'd see Ryan crowding him just a little bit.
A little bit, but there was still no reason for him to drop all the way down under the yellow line. I think he could have just stayed right beside him and maybe have won the race.
But as Hamlin said, it wasn't worth causing a big wreck. Not on the week before the Daytona 500.
I think if I were looking at that and I was driving that 11 car, I'd have said, man, I don't think I should have gone down below that yellow line. I had enough room to make it.
Carl Edwards, winner of the last 2 races of last season, becoming the highest placed Ford driver in the chase for the Sprint Cup, where he wound up 4th. Just the kind of rebound the Roush Fenway needed to propel them toward 2011.
The fastest Roush Fenway car is actually Greg Biffle in the 16 car right now. He's 9th.
A couple years